Hello and welcome to MBKM Models. Today we're going to be unboxing the Guillow's authentic scale flying model of a de Havilland C-2 Beaver aircraft. Now these aircraft, very classic 30s, 40s over wing civilian passenger or military spotter small transport plane. This one is a 1/24th scale. All right, okay. It's balsa wood and it can be flown with rubber powered or a small RC radio control conversion. Guillow's, they are an American company. They make very good models. I've built two of these over the years. I built the P40 Warhawk some years ago and fitted it with a Guillow engine on control line. And I've also built one of their easy build P51 Mustang aircraft, which I've still got in the living room up on the shelf. Now, just a quick bit from what it says on here. It says DHC-2, which means de Havilland, an authentic scale model of the single engine propeller driven STOL aircraft. The DHC-2 Beaver was primarily known as a bush plane, which means that it was either used in Africa or places like Australia, South Africa. All right, so it's short, very warm airfield, so you get the lift and you've got to have a quick climb. It is used for cargo and passenger hauling in the rugged and remote areas of the world, exactly as I said. This Guillow creation is a faithful replica of the real plane, designed for ease in assembly and flight stability. A beautiful model of an exceptionally fine light plane. And that's exactly right, because as I've said before, I was an aircraft fitter. So these very short takeoff, quick ascent aircraft, they make absolutely good flying models. They're over wing, you get greater lift, and they perform well. So let's have a look at what's in the box. Okay, it's got cellophane on it. I'm just going to... when you get one of these, if you're a child doing this, make sure you've got an adult with you with the knife, okay? All right, but don't get ripping things apart. I mean, cut the cellophane off, all right? It's a sealed box. You don't want to get ripping things and breaking anything, do you? So, all right, there we go. So we've cut the cellophane off. Let's have a look what's in the box. Take the lid off. This is great as opposed to the Revel kit box I did before. This is great because you can keep things in the lid. Now we've got decal stroke transfers. All right, you've got the the Guillow's hallmark there, and this goes on when you've covered your aircraft. We've got various sheets of information about Guillow's. There's a... Oh, really? Oh, this is cool. The parts aren't included, but you can build a float version. All right, so it's giving you a plan to build a float version of this aircraft, which is very interesting. Now, I didn't know that was in there. So you've got to go and purchase your own balsa, but you're given the plan here. So for those who don't know, say you were building this bit extra, like all balsa models, what I do is I cover the plan in wax, I put it on a board, and then I mark these out with carbon paper. All right, so carbon paper goes underneath. You draw around your shape you want, and it goes through the carbon paper onto the balsa wood. All right, then obviously you make sure it's secure, and then you build onto the plan. But later videos, as I build this model, I'll show you that. But this is really cool. It's got this float version, which means you could fly it off of very, very, very calm water. All right, so it's a little note from Guillow's there. Various cardboard bits and pieces. I mean, we've got the radial engine here, so that's pretty much self-explanatory. Okay, wonderful. I mean, look at this. Full instructions on how to build the fuselage and the wings and probably the rudder and stabilizer, which I would refer to as the tailplane, and a finished photograph of the model before covering. All right, so that is really cool. I mean, back in many years ago, you had to imagine what it looked like before you did it. So I give Guillows their due here. Okay. America excels at model building. They've got 300 million people there, and they absolutely excel at model building. This is an American company, and they do it well. All right. So you're literally being. I mean, you've got these. I mean, not all plans come with built-up views, and you've got these built-up views on here. Which are going to help you along. So I mean, I built my first balsa rubber parrot about 12 years old in 76, and you didn't get, not all the time, these built up views. I mean, I built Killcraft Sopwith Camel, Killcraft Spitfire, and then I graduated to, they're called Sarek now, but they used to be called the Map Plan Service, and it was in a handbook. And I bought the plan for the Waco Hadrian glider, which is a model that I think Flight Test on YouTube have built. I built the Waco Hadrian, which was a D-Day, also jungle glider, World War II, in about 77, yeah. And the ribs on it were 32 sheet balsa, very thin, very, but with not many built up views. So this is great. I mean, if you're first starting out, I mean, here's our plan. All right, okay. This is your main plan. The aircraft has been carefully designed to scale down from real to model, and this plan is what you're going to build. You're not going to build, you may build parts of the fuse on it, but by the looks of it, the fuse, you may build one part on it, and then you have to build the fuselage, I say fuse, I mean fuselage, as a sub-assembly on its own away from the plan, but that remains to be seen. But we've got this beautiful picture here of the completed construction before covering, and that is quite something. I gotta say it. That's going to help you along no end over this. All right. Let's have a look. Let's fall, and on the back of the plan, there we go. We've got the wings. There you go. There's the wings. It's a 14-inch span stabilizer, and well, I always just refer to it as the tailplane. I don't say that stabilizer and rudder. That's a tailplane. So it's very, it's looking good. It's looking absolutely good, this kit, on helping you along, getting you to build it. And this is what I find with these Guillows kits from the United States of America. In the UK, there's always a bit of a consensus where you should know what you're doing, even if you are 12 years old. And if you don't know what you're doing, well betide you. And you know, why haven't you produced a model as good as other people? But in the United States of America, there's very much a different attitude towards model making, which is we all got to start somewhere, we all need help, and we all want to build. Now, I mean, I'm in my mid-late 50s, so I haven't built balsa since, I don't know, before that, maybe 2004, 2003, 2003, 2004. And, you know, even at my stage of the game, I welcome these instructions. I welcome these built-up views, because what I want to do is produce a good flying model. The wonderful thing about Guillows is I always like, I mean, I built a Killcraft Sopwith Camel many years ago, and you had to make the engine cowl yourself, and you would build it up at a balsa and sand a radius, which is cool. I mean, it's not bad. But what Guillow's kindly does is they give you these lovely vac form parts, all right, which is quite something. I mean, there's your engine cowl, which if I'm going to convert this to radio, I'll have to do a little bit of cutting here and there. I mean, in the box, I'm not going to pull it all out because basically you've got your tissue paper. This is all your wood. And then you've got your laser cut parts. I mean, these laser cut parts, as you can see, they're nicely packaged, all right? Nicely packaged, well packaged as well. There's your wheels. There's probably what they used to call piano wire, and there's a bit of piano wire there. That's for your prop, yeah. The wheels undercarriage usually is from an arrangement. I'm not sure what that's for, but that will be revealed later on. There's your if you want to do elastic, there's your rubber power. Now, just a quick, I'm going to more than likely convert this to a. I could be wrong on this, but modern brushless model airplane motors go on weight. All right, so I've checked this out, and it should be 24 grams in weight for this size of aircraft. So, but if I'm wrong, please leave a comment below. Now, if you're doing rubber powered, that's a whole different video altogether, because if you just start, I mean, I'm taking it from you just starting out. I'm talking to guys who've been building these for years. But I'm also talking to people who are just coming to the hobby. So if you're going to do rubber powered, there used to be a recommendation years ago that you would cover the rubber motor, as they call it, your rubber band, with linseed oil. And there is a priming of that rubber band when you first turn it, yeah? Okay, and then there is a number of turns for the rubber band that will give you a period of flight. There's also care of that rubber band with the linseed oil, which makes it more supple. And always remember, over a period, rubber, what's it called? It degrades. It perishes, all right? So rubber perishes. So you want to keep that rubber band nice and supple. You can go into a model shop or probably online nowadays, and you can buy rubber bands. It's not actually a rubber band as you would classically think of it. It's a long piece of rubber band type material, okay, that you will then loop and you will use for the propulsion of your aircraft, all right? You can buy this stuff. You could actually upgrade your rubber powered efficiency by digging around. The wheels come in two halves. Years ago they used to sell them to you in one piece, but obviously nowadays it's yeah, I don't know, it saves money, or it's just the way they do it, which is that's fine. These are very typical of this type of model size wheels, all right? And here's our this is for when you, that's for your prop, if you're running rubber powered on there, all right? But like I said, and here's your prop. Okay, so rubber powered, yeah? So if you're flying rubber powered, it's got this very large prop, all right? Okay, now that prop has been designed to give the maximum thrust at the right angle, the pitch, to take your model up and around to fly, all right? Just a word. If you are building for the first time rubber powered, I mean, what we're now in, we're in the end of September. You can build this through the winter. Take your time. Wait till the summer next year to fly it, because what you want is a place with, even if you're going to convert it to radio control with a brushless in, wait till the summer until you've got long grass, a very warm day. I mean, you got to remember, the actual real plane of this plane was designed for hot airfields with limited takeoff space. So you've got a very quick ascent, all right, using warm air and plenty of lift. So you want to treat your model very much the same. So wait till you get a really, really warm windless day, maybe a slight breeze, but nothing more, and then fly your model over long grass, all right? Because when that rubber power motor cuts, yeah, you're going to rely on this plane to glide down, all right? So when it glides down, it's going to come down, and you want something to cushion it, which is the long grass, all right? But I'd say this de Havilland Beaver, it's a great model. I love the look on it. I love aircraft from the classic era, 30s, 40s, 50s. They're absolute design classics. They're from a world that is no more. Absolute top-notch stuff. I do believe, if you put me wrong, that's fine, leave a comment below, but I'm sure these were used in World War II, because I've seen a video with, or photographs with them with D-Day markings on. Now let's while I'm here, let's get into D-Day markings. Now, an unusual thing. I remember, furthest I can remember back to the late 60s when people used to build models, and all the models were very much Battle of Britain-ish, or in the desert, and D-Day people really did do, but they didn't do. And then in the 70s, it may have been 1974, which would have been the 30th anniversary D-Day. All model planes, every model plane, plastic, balsa, all had D-Day markings on them. D-Day markings became the thing in the sort of about 74 through the 80s. That's died away a bit now. So, but on the other side, I mean, if you want to put D-Day markings on it, put them on it. But generally, you know, all aircraft before the 6th of June 1944 were just painted in the usual normal military colours. So I really do, I think I want to do the civilian version on this one. All right. I really love the, what colour scheme have we got? We got something like blue and yellow or something, is it? No, blue and white. I love the blue and white. Yeah, I love the blue and white with the go faster stripe down the side. Absolutely, yeah, real classic stuff. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And please join me. Now I've unboxed it, okay, I'm going to go and get my model board ready. All right, I'm going to get a small workbench, model board ready. I've got some wax to put on the plan. I'm going to have a good read through of these instructions later on to see where to start. I mean, but generally, the rule of thumb with any balsa model, you start with the fuselage, the fuse, yeah? Okay? Start with the fuselage because it's the structure, what do you call it, strength point of the aircraft, right? It holds everything on, wings, tailplane, the whole shooting match, the wheels, the propulsion is kept inside it. So at the end of the day, start with the fuselage, all right? Okay, but I'm gonna make some later videos. The unboxing videos tend to go, they run in length. But what I tend to do is any build videos are a collection of photographs and the copyright-free music that Google provide, yeah, or YouTube provide. All right. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and until next time.